Hello, everybody, and welcome back once again. Inside the Headset, sponsored by John Jones. John Jones Real Estate. Nobody sells homes like John. Going to roll over to Chattanooga. Going to talk to a very happy 8-0, 495 wins. He's a head coach of the Boyd Buchanan Buccaneers. Head coach Gary Rankin. How you doing tonight, Coach?
Hey, Stork, I'm doing good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So 495, and the last time I talked to you, you've been on a roll. And let's go back about 2 weeks. It was their homecoming game as we talk, and you went in against Notre Dame and was able to come away a winner, 50-7, and that's a big win for the Buccaneers.
It was, in the last 2 weeks, we're showing signs of being the kind of team that I wanted us to be. We've cut down on a lot of mistakes. We're playing pretty inspired. There seems to be a hunger that's growing a little bit, and I appreciate that, especially this time of year and getting close to the playoffs. So pretty pleased with the last 2 weeks where we are. And, we won 2 games, and I always say this, that, we in the second half especially. So that's always high on my agenda. Had a lot of young kids, score some touchdowns, make some big hits. So things that I really believe in that will keep our program consistent down the years. And so just pretty well pleased with the way everything's going.
And like you said, getting a chance to play depth and get those guys in, but it's also you're talking more about, being very aggressive, flying to the football, playing fundamentally sound, but, some big hits, but, being in the right place. And when you're coaching those kids and you tell them, you stay right there, and I promise you, you'll get an interception, and they do what you say, man, it's magical, isn't it?
Right, you're right, it is. And a lot of our young kids have gotten better. And it's good because we've really beat up a little bit. We've lost some kids, 1, 2, 3. We've lost 4 kids for the year. One of them was 2 of them were starters. So we it's happening everywhere. I'm not sitting here crying at all. Sad for those kids. A couple of them were seniors, but it happens. It happens in all programs, and it's just something you have to deal with. And you better make sure you're working to make sure you got a replacement for those guys, because really nobody cares that Boyd's got 4 hurt or 20 hurt. It can't be an excuse. You're going to play next Friday night. They're going to kick it off at 7 o'clock. It don't matter how many guys you got hurt or you've lost. So we've tried to do a good job developing some depth. We've had some replacements put in for those guys, a couple of seniors, one of them is a freshman. So, we may have lost a little bit right there, but we'll see how it turns out.
When you're at this point of the season, do you like where the spirit is? And like you said, is it going in the right direction as you start down this path of you're on fall break, so you're going to come back and play 2 games and then, get ready to set up for the second half of the season. But at this point, setting where you are, and I'm sure you're going to get back into it probably. If you didn't get back into it today, you're going to get back into it tomorrow and have practice and get ready to roll into it. But do you like where you are?
Yeah, I do. And we're facing 2 of our best teams the last 2 games. We play Webb and we play Grace Christian, who are both very capable of beating us or beating a lot of teams. I think Grace is ranked in the top 5 in our division, and Webb's got 3 or 4 D1 athletes that can beat anybody at any time. So we really got 2 big old games coming up, the last 2 games of the season, that will really project us on which route we go in the playoffs and whether we get a chance to have a couple of playoff games at home or we have to go from the get-go on the road. So we've certainly got 2 big challenges coming up, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and but it's not nothing that you haven't been seasoned before, and and that would be no different than a battle of the borough and turn around and play a Smyrna the next
Right.
the next following week,
Right.
or in that type of situation, and that back to back, you just got to tell. I guess you tell the guys. I mean, going to have is going to be who can make the plays. You'll give it to a couple of them, and then you'll find out who really is hungry and who wants the football. I mean, I was listening to Kevin.
That's right. I mean,
Go ahead.
that's what it's about. And I preach to our guys all the time. I really believe you are who you are. And if we win those last 2 games, that's who we were. We were good enough. We were where we wanted to be. one of those teams gets us or both those teams gets us, we just wasn't where we wanted to be at this time or where we would like to have been. But I know we play two fine football teams, and they're certainly capable of beating anybody in our region. And it's going to be a fun 2 weeks for us.
Yeah, and I heard Kevin talking to one of his kids today, and he said, you better be paying attention if you want the football, and or
Right.
you won't be getting it Friday night. So keeping that hunger, it's important, isn't it, Coach? Because you're going to start shortening practices, and as you get into the playoffs, because guys
That's
are
right.
and you're gonna have just what you need to do to get ready for Friday night, and that'll be the agenda.
You got to make sure you stay sharp, but you also got to make sure you stay fresh. Um, and there's only one football out there, and we stress that all the time. If the football is the thing that makes you happy in our game, I'd almost rather you go play for somebody else. There's only one, and one person gets it, but it's a team game, and we have to rely on each other, and we've done a pretty good job of that. In today's society, you're fighting that entitlement. You're fighting those kids that, think they've got to be the dog every play, every game, and that's just not the way it is in good football programs and good football teams. If you're that guy, I'm sure you're going to get it in key situations, and you're going to get it when the time comes. But I think the other night we had 17 or 18 kids touch the football on offense, and that's really good. I think possibly 3 to 4 freshmen touched it, so we spread it around pretty good. I think it's great for team morale. I think it's great for building your program in the future. And, the one thing that I really despise, and I'll tell our kids straight up, I almost hate it, is the only time you're happy is when you got the ball. So we've done a pretty good job with that in our programs. I give them a choice. If they think they got to touch the ball every time, I give them a choice to go play left guard or go play right guard. And that usually soothes them a little bit and shuts them up.
And I mean, and for everybody that must know, I mean, there's only been a handful of guys that you've coached that you're going to give that. I mean, if they really want it, or you feel like that's our best gun, or that's the way I want to go, or they have the entitlement in the offense to take the ball when they want to. You
And, and, I, and
Go
And
ahead.
I'm like any great good coach, I guess. I mean, when the time comes and it's 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3, it's a big situation. You're going to go with your dog. You're going to go with your best player, and that makes sense. And I understand that. And I think kids understand that, and they have to prove themselves to be that guy. But I'm proud of that in our program that we don't have that entitlement. We were the same way at Alcoa because I always bring that offensive line back up, buddy, and some of them play 4 years and they don't ever touch that peel. So that usually sets things up like we want it.
Well, and I mean, I think back, and of course, the Kentucky fans didn't have any idea that Randall Cobb was going to stand up after a game and tell all his teammates that he came from a high school that did not lose, and that I will
Right.
not tolerate it, and I will lay it on the line every Saturday afternoon. But when he was in high school, and I mean, you didn't have to tell him it was a 3rd and 1 situation. He was going to get 6 yards, not just because he wanted to, and it was pure, I guess, what you would
And
say, inside of him.
if it was one kid that I've ever coached that could have just rang up stats that would still be records today, it was him. But there was not 1 ounce of selfishness in his body. He was a team player. He wanted to win. And like I say, there was games that he didn't run the ball at all. Now, if it was against Maryville in the state championship game, he ended up carrying it 15, 18 times. But if there's one kid that I ever coached that could really have been that guy and had really broken probably a lot of state records that might even be held today, it was him. But it's just not the way we run our programs. And he understands that, and he was a team guy. And that's one reason he went to Kentucky and did so well and played 9 or 10 years in the pros. So proud of that, proud of who he was when he played. He did everything he could to make sure that we had a good team, and he was part of it.
Well, and he took the runway of his natural ability and took it as far as he could. I mean, it took a lot of disciplinary
Right.
too, and it's a lot of fun to coach guys like that. Not only have them on your team, but to coach them and watch them go forward.
still one of the hardest hits that I've seen since I've been coaching was from Randall Cobb, and he didn't play defense. He threw an interception one night, which was against his golden rules. He didn't throw interceptions, and he threw one night, and the guy happened to be coming down our sideline, and next thing I know, there was a hell of a collision, and still one of the biggest collisions I've seen. And it was just that competitiveness of him coming out that, that guy took something away from him a little bit. He was going to go get him, and he did. But one of the greatest competitors I've ever been around, no doubt.
Coach, we can't thank you enough. As always, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being on. Did you get your book?
Did get my book. No, I hadn't got my book yet. No,
it's on the
no,
it should be at the school office. I mailed it to the school office.
Yeah, we've been out there. I'm interested in seeing that, but I appreciate you doing that.
Okay, Coach. Have a great rest of the fall break, and we will catch up to you soon. And good luck with your practice as you prepare for the next one.
Thank you, Stuart. Appreciate it, brother.
See you. Bye.